So the idea, it sort of starts from this notion that Ottawa is experiencing a moment in terms of where we're going as a city, in terms of sort of developing as a city. And in my experience, there's this huge amount of energy and enthusiasm for turning Ottawa, I guess, into a sort of globally competitive middle-sized city. You know, whether it's the LRT, whether it's redeveloping the Breton Flats, there's all these projects, there's this huge amount of enthusiasm. But in my experience, there's a number of roadblocks that prevent us from sort of moving past that level. And one of the biggest roadblocks, in my opinion, is whether you want to call it sort of political or administrative structure of the Ottawa Gatineau region. So what I mean by that is that we have Ottawa on one side, Gatineau on the other, two separate municipalities that sometimes work together, but more often than not don't. We have two separate provinces, obviously, and we, of course, have the federal government that exercises its authority via the National Capital Commission. So you've got these 5 levels of government that, you know, 5 different stakeholders that rarely work together on projects and have different and sometimes competing priorities, competing ambitions, different personalities. And I think the net result of that is that really big projects, infrastructure projects in particular, get held up because we have these too many hands in the pot, essentially. There really isn't sort of free mobility of labor in the Ottawa-Gatineau region. There is certainly if you're a federal government worker, but that's about it. So the solution, in my opinion, it's a pretty simple solution, if completely unfeasible, is to create a sort of larger amalgamated urban region, which would be the Ottawa-Gatineau amalgamated region. Washington, D.C. is probably more familiar to most people here in Ottawa. This is, you know, they're separate political jurisdictions because the capital city means something. Because if we want to be a globally competitive middle-sized city, and we sort of want to be on that map, then we need to start thinking bigger in terms of how we get things pushed through in the city. And to me, those 5 different stakeholders, those 5 different levels of government, yes, you can make the argument there's some positives that come out of it, but for the most part, I think it just seems to hold things back.